What is dyspraxia? Dyspraxia is a form of neurodiversity that affects the signals that are transmitted from the brain to the rest of the body.
Dyspraxia refers to complications with organizing, planning, and carrying out movements. That can include everything from motor skills that are familiar, from arts and crafts activities to household chores to anything to do with team sports.
As a child, they said I was a clumsy boy, age 8 and 9. There were symptoms of ADHD there. And then they said I was a clumsy boy, it will get better. I had a bit of physiotherapy, that's it, yeah. But then I had problems in school with coordination, a bit of handwriting, art, sport. I was the worst class sport.
It has an incredibly long list of things that it impacts. Everything from strength and coordination to being able to hold a fork or tying shoelaces or making a cohesive sentence. It can affect all of these things.
I heard about dyspraxia after having a psychiatrist knows what my diagnosis early 2000s said go and get speech therapy. But at the end of speech therapy in January 2002, age 23, the therapist thought I had dyspraxia. I thought it was just being clumsy. In 2008, I made an adult dyspraxia charity, and I realized dyspraxia is much more than being clumsy. Dyspraxia is called developmental coordination disorder. Used to be called clumsy boy, clumsy childhood, clumsy, especially as a boy. I think it's more boys than girls. Middle brain injury, those terms not used anymore. Dyspraxia is the whole body, speech, balance, coordination, process, concentration, organization, and working memory, planning.
That is about time and being aware of your own space too, from being aware and having troubles with anything to do with time. So that can be like knowing if you're dealing with 5 minutes or 15 minutes when trying to get from point A to point B, to just straightforwardly trying to figure out what someone means when they are trying to give you a series of written instructions that involve movement.
Maths can be harder. I met somebody who's maths in school, but some people it's very hard. It can overlap with dyscalculia and dyslexia. You can't tell what's what. My case, my ADHD, do I find it hard to process things, absorb things? Is dyspraxia or ADHD? Speak fast. That could be dyspraxia or ADHD trait, because maybe it's hard to establish how fast I speak, but I speak slow because I regulate my emotions. It can cause low self-esteem, anxiety, depression, comorbid problems. I think I have generalized anxiety disorder as a result of my dyspraxia.
Can build resilience. There might be cases of being easily distracted. Simultaneously, you can have times of having a hyper concentration that it makes you excel. You can have struggles with balance, and you can struggle with your own emotions and at the same time be the most empathetic person in the room to others. You can have issues with your senses going and being affected by all sorts of different things with overload, and at the same time you can have incredibly good hearing. You can pick up all of these little different spots. You can struggle with short-term memory and be great with long-term memory. All of these things are dyspraxic.
Dyspraxia might have negatives, but strengths. They have determination, resilience, because it had to overcome so many things, logic, strong general knowledge, storytelling, possibly creativity.
There is no cure. There is none for that, and there are none for any other form of neurodiversity, because there is nothing to be cured. People with dyspraxia are not broken. They are not weak. They are different. And And like everyone else, they have their own strengths and weaknesses.
Dyspraxia and dyslexia, about 50% of people have comorbid either way. For ADHD, I think dyspraxia, ADHD, 40% either way have dyspraxia. 40% of people with dyspraxia have ADHD, and vice versa. Same with dyslexia. I think most autistic people have high functioning have dyspraxia, but it says that there's overlaps. You see what I mean? They can't tell what is what. Yeah, oppressors have different approach. Yes,
It works on a spectrum, and no two dyspraxics are affected in the same way. Each and every one is different.
it's very hard to get diagnosed. I think it'll be diagnosed by a psychologist or occupational therapist or a psychiatrist.
It affects as many men as women, as many boys as it does girls. It does not discriminate. It isn't one of these set things that affects certain people and not others. No. Dyspraxics are people who can struggle with a lot of things that most others find easy, and yet they can excel at things that others find difficult. No one chose to become dyspraxic, but most of us accept that we are. We accept the strengths, we accept the weaknesses. We just need the people around us to do the same.